welcome to my Minecraft beta world. Today we're going to be chilling and building a medieval outpost. I had a random flash of inspiration to build something, so I'm here on a whim. I just logged into my Minecraft beta world. I haven't played on here for a little while, a month or two. But yeah, I just got a random inspiration to build something, a little like medieval thing, probably like a lore, kind of like a lore heavier than what I usually build in this world. We're in this, even for people who know my Minecraft beta world here, we're kind of out in the boonies, so you probably don't know where I am right now. But basically this is between my castle town bastion and the spawn area Lumbridge over there, but both of those are kind of a bit of a walk away. And I've seen this area. Take a look at this area, because this is actually really cool. This sort of like nice little like grassy area on the coast of this big ocean here. And this is a big ocean. If you took a boat here, you could sail it all the way to Bastion over there. So I always thought this was a really cool spot, and I want to do something here for a while, have like a roadside inn or something. But basically the idea is that there's some sort of like path or road through the wilderness here, and there would be like a stop here for you know, travelers to just kind of come and rest for the night or something. So we're gonna build a little like medieval fort type thing, just like a small humble thing, because I like kind of humble stuff. But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be building a square tower. Why am I making it round? I'm not building a round tower anymore. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna start with the tower over here. And I'm actually I've got the layout here, so this is where the tower is going to go. But I'm actually going to start digging already. I'll pick a spot to make a little like mine somewhere here. I don't know if I want the mine to be visible, because I don't think there's going to be like a mine in the lore. This isn't a mining area. This is just like an outpost. But maybe I have like a little quarry over here somewhere. But yeah, I just kind of had this idea. Like I said, I sort of had a long time ago when I saw that area, I sort of envisioned this like big road that I'll probably eventually build at some point between like Lumbridge and the castle town. And that area would be like a stopover. So at one point I thought of building an inn there, and maybe one day I will build an inn as sort of like an expansion. But I thought it'd be really cool to have this little sort of outpost, sort of a little fort, a little like fortified thing, a little fortified keep or tower that's kind of part of the Kingdom of Bastion. The Kingdom of Bastion set this up here. It's maybe a little bit of a watchtower for the kingdom itself, but more so it's just sort of this little like, it's a safe place for travelers to stay. Especially, you know, on the road. There's dangerous things out here. We're out in the wilderness, kind of. There's not much civilization, so there could be bandits. There could be like goblins or wolves or something. There could be tribes of orcs. You never know. So the kingdom set up this little tower, and basically, yeah, if there's any sort of threat, people can kind of garrison inside there behind the walls. In Game of Thrones and in the Song of Ice and Fire books, they have this thing that they call holdfasts. And there's kind of like, there's like castles, you know, and then they have like holdfasts, which they refer to a lot. And the holdfast is sort of this, they basically talk about it like it's this little, it's like a small castle, you know, it's just a little like fortified area in like a village or something for people to flee to if there's danger. But it's not like as big as a castle, you know, it's kind of just like this little thing that, I don't know, maybe it could be manned by like a dozen men, you know? If you really need to, you could have like a dozen good soldiers kind of just like hold down this spot if they needed to for a few days, you know? And I like that sort of stuff. I like big, grand fantasy stories, but I also like the little humble stuff too. I like having little stories. You know, the little stuff that's kind of happening on the sidelines that you don't always hear about in the great history books. But yeah, I actually do need stone now. I forgot. That was the main reason I was trying to find a cave, is to get stone. This should be a good start. I'll kind of go from here if I need more, and we might as well go start gathering some timber as well, because I think yeah, I'm gonna need a lot of wood for this. So this is fun. I feel like I'm starting anew, and for some reason, now that I have like the goal of making this little fort, I feel like I'm playing like Age of Empires, you know? I'm a little villager collecting wood. Collect 50 food, 50 wood, 50 gold. Part of the idea here is that this is like an older building, like the stone like main structure of the tower itself is kind of old. And it's like it's something that the kingdom built such a long time ago, but it's just been upkept, you know, because it's such a useful, like, practical thing, and it's been you know, visited and used for centuries at this point. But obviously it is starting to look a little weathered now, which is why we have all the different, like, you know, the cobblestone mixed in here. And on the lower parts, I was thinking of maybe using some mossy cobblestone, which obviously I'm not shy about using mossy cobblestone because it's like the best block ever. But yeah, I think we'll figure it out as we go. But no, the interesting thing is I actually wanted to use like a different like architectural style here from the other parts of Bastion and the castle over in Bastion, because I don't know, I imagine this being like even older than that castle is. It's like a super old part of the kingdom, and like their style of building has changed. So over time they started using more of these like rounded towers, which you can see in my castle. But this one is still this sort of like very simple square design. You know, it's just a simple kind of sharp edges, fortified tower keep thing. And so you can, I guess if someone was really paying attention to the architecture and the lore in my world, they could notice that it's kind of a different style. But there will be additions that make it kind of, you know, look like it belongs to the Kingdom of Bastion. Sort of like things that have been added on over the years that kind of match the more, I guess, like contemporary style of the castle and stuff. One thing I always feel like I have to do when I'm building, like, you know, stone structures like this is fill in these little like dirt gaps between like the ground level and the wall, because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would there be, why would the stone, you know, stop in the dirt? It doesn't make sense. It would crush the dirt and sink into the ground. So I want to make it look like it has, you know, it's going down into proper foundations underneath the dirt here. So I generally try to, you know, fill in these little gaps like this. All right, I'm gonna build the staircase up right now. Basically, a kind of, it's gonna have like an elevated entrance, sort of, in this wooden kind of staircase that goes up, and that's kind of based off of actually a lot of medieval buildings, towers, etc., fortresses had like raised entrances instead of an entrance on the ground level. And so I was basically like inspired by that. I mean, essentially the reason for that is it's more secure, you know. It's a lot easier to defend an entrance like this, because if your entrance is on the ground level, you can imagine like you could just have a bunch of guys surrounding here and trying to like break down the door, you know, bring in a battering ram. But if it's raised like this, especially like where it's such an awkward angle to reach it, you have to go up, and it's really only like maybe one or two people at the door at a time. You can't really bring like a battering ram up. And even like the defenders, if they know when attack is coming, they could even like try to destroy this stairway right here and kind of lock themselves in, and then it makes it even harder to attack. So that is actually like a historical thing. It's a very common tactic that they would use. But I'm gonna go ahead and clear out the middle, the inside of the tower here, because there is gonna be, you kind of come in on like the second floor, and then there's gonna be actually a floor beneath it, I'm pretty sure. I have like the basic idea for this place kind of in my head already, but yeah. We have a little banister here, just to keep you safe when you're coming out the door, you know, you don't want to fall right off. For this build, I'm gonna like actually do a netherrack fireplace, which is something I've done before, and I like doing it. I think it's very satisfying. I could just do like an infinite lit furnace, which I've done before. But the netherrack fireplace is just, it just looks a little more, you know, it's a bigger fire. It looks a little cooler, and it is just like a cool novelty because, you know, it's kind of tricky to pull off, but you can definitely do it. I've done it before, and especially if you use wooden slabs. Those are very, very convenient for this sort of thing. So I'm going to place these slabs, and hopefully I'm placing them in the right configuration to where everything else is safe. I'm doing these support beams here, made out of wood slabs. Obviously, they don't actually connect to the floor above it, but the idea is that they are kind of like holed into the side of the stone wall here, and they're just these timber beams that are holding up, supporting the next floor. You know, this is a bit of a confined space here, but I actually I like working with smaller spaces because it's kind of fun. You can get creative with the interior, try to figure out solutions for stuff. But I have this little, very simple, just like wood log table here, and it's kind of very abstractly sort of representing like a very simple, rough-hewn wooden table, you know. And these stone slabs are meant to be chairs. I don't imagine they would actually be stone chairs, but it's just kind of, it's to break up the color a bit, you know, so they don't blend in with the floor if they're just, you know, wooden slabs there. But yeah, this is kind of just, again, the hearth is in here, so this is kind of just like the main hall room, where soldiers can sit. Maybe they can eat here, they can play cards at this table, they can sit near the fire and warm themselves up during the winter, and obviously like cook food over here as well. And oh shit, there's not that many soldiers stationed here. There's maybe like a dozen, you know, stationed to hold this little place. So they don't need like a huge fire for cooking. They can very comfortably cook. This is, I imagine, you know, a good sized hearth here, and you could hang stuff there, or maybe like heat up pots and stuff. But yeah, that should be fine. I'm actually going to do something that I've done before with a little fireplace, but we're gonna put a furnace right here above the fire, and that is something I've done like at the kitchen of my castle. So you do have the fire, the glow, and the cool atmosphere from the fire, but you also do have a furnace here, which you could use if, you know, if you wanted to smelt some stuff in this tower. Then I'm going to add some just like trap doors here, like maybe like here, and these are just kind of like shelves for you know, a little extra storage space here and there. This room could kind of be like multi-purpose, I imagine. Like a lot of medieval halls were kind of multi-purpose. You had like tables that you could bring out for big dinners, but you could also like pick up this table, I imagine, and like lean it against the wall to make floor space, and then like people could come and sleep on the floor here, sleep next to the fire, you know, like travelers and commoners and stuff, if they needed to, maybe during the winter or something, they just needed somewhere to sleep that was warm. They could come into this room here and sleep on the floor, or something like that. Now this will basically be the top of the stone part of the castle up here. You can see I've already kind of laid out this little wall for the crenellations, you know. So we'll have, just like at my castle, we'll have cobblestone slabs along the area here to serve as little crenellations, you know, for archers to hide if they need to, you know, shoot down at enemies who are trying to assault the tower. And this will go all the way around, of course. But like this will be the end of the stone part of the castle, or the keep, the tower here. And I imagine like when this was originally built, like 300 years ago or whatever, you know, a long time ago, this was like the extent of it. So these were like the original fortifications, and it just kind of ended in this open topped tower thing. But later on, you know, the kingdom added on to this, and they continued to build like with wood here. So there's going to be sort of a wooden floor, like kind of encased, you know, encircled in this upper floor thing, but you can still walk around the perimeter and use this as a defensive thing. I'm building this kind of protruding overhang thing right over the entrance here, or pretty much right over the entrance here, because I thought it would look cool And it is actually like a historical medieval thing called a brattice, which is basically like this structure that kind of protrudes from a castle. And it has, you can see here, I have a trapdoor which you can open and close. And a brattice would have murder holes at the bottom of it, basically, so you could drop, rocks, you could drop hot water, oil, whatever, arrows, shoot arrows down at anyone trying to, attack the entrance here. So, yeah, I did want that. I thought it would look really cool, add a little bit more, I don't know, like dimension or depth to the top floor, to have this thing that's kind of protruding out, give the castle a little more character, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's really cool. It also, it does resemble like a medieval, basically bathroom, a privy, whatever it would be called, which those often would, protrude from the side of the castle and have a hole in the bottom so you can just drop stuff out of there. Obviously they're both things where you want to drop stuff out off the side of a castle, so it makes sense that they would look really similar. But if this was a privy, you would not want to build it right over the main entrance. That would be really shitty design, literally. All right, so here's the tower finished. I'm actually really happy with how it looks. I think it looks pretty cool. You'll notice I do have the netherrack roofs just to sort of tie it, back to the Kingdom of Bastion. All their military stuff has this sort of red roof. But yeah, I think the brattice looks awesome right there over the entrance. And let's go ahead and just take a quick look. I did add a few things for little mossy cobble here. And come in here, you of course have, again, like this main hall, common area, I guess you'd call it, with the shelves. And I changed the stairs a little bit just so I could have this wooden beam going all the way to the top. But right here, this little corner, there's a little trapdoor which leads you down to a ladder into this like cellar room. I really like making any sort of like underground or like cellar type thing. I think it's really fun. I only have like one torch in here because I want it to be dim. And to be able to do that without monster spawning, I put slabs along the floor most of here. But then here, since it's lit up, I didn't do that. And there's like dirt on the floor. There's like some gravel, so it's kind of like, they don't clean up this room that often. It's just like a little hole to like store extra stuff. And you have these wooden beams here to support the floor above, and I really love these. There's like little windows here. I'm using stairs to make these tiny little windows, which I think look awesome. But they're like too small to even let like any light in. It's just like a little air hole, I guess, or something. There's some like extra equipment down here. There's like, and I imagine they would keep food down here. Food that stores for a long time. So like oats and stuff, and like dry grains. And some salted meat. We have some salted pork here. This is supposed to be salted pork. You probably know that, salting meat was a really common way of preserving it back in the day. But this is also just a reference to Lord of the Rings. There's a part where Gimli says salted pork.
Salted pork.
And that just like that, I love that line. I quote that all the time. So we have the salted pork right here. So yeah, that's the little cellar. I kind of like this little cramped little, kind of dingy spot of the keep. And then you go up. This room's pretty plain, but I just imagine it's kind of just like, they have the beds here. It's sort of a dormitory area for whoever's sleeping. Whoever's not on the night watch. Probably, most of them sleep in here. And then, of course, we come up the ladder to the wooden sort of expansion here. I really like this room, actually. I think it looks really cool. It just adds, instead of having the stone walls, obviously it has the wood, and just a nice, like, different feel from the rest of the tower. You have the brattice here, of course, again with the murder holes, and then you have like an arrow loop here where you can fire out of. Just like, I don't know if I touched on this, but yeah, the whole castle has this window design that I've used in the gatehouse at my castle, and it's supposed to be like an arrow loop. Basically, it's supposed to look like a narrow tall window that you can, you know, fire arrows out of. Obviously, you would want to be more like this angle so you can look down, but we'll pretend that you can do that from where these are. But yeah, obviously this is the top, and you can come out here to the crenellations, the battlements, I guess you would call this whole area, and it's a really good place to, you know, fire arrows down at approaching enemies. And we do have a little flag up there at the top. I think you probably saw it when I was looking at the whole place. But yeah, it's just obviously, you know, it just shows everyone who owns this little tower, this little keep, and you know, kind of warns people, hey, this tower's manned. There are people at this tower, you know, beware. So yeah, I really like it. I love the raised entrance with the wooden stairway. I think it's so cool. I love that, and it's historical. But we're going to go ahead and build the offshooting building here. You may have noticed there is like a door here off to the side. And that's just going to lead right into the second story of this building, which is going to go here. But the first story of this building, I'm pretty sure is going to be like a stable. I imagine they will need some sort of stable. They probably have horses here, or they want to be able to, you know, maintain horses here. So we're going to build a little stable real quick with a little area on top, and I'll be back when that's done, I guess. So the auxiliary building here is like a stables combo with a different room on top of it. And yeah, so we have the stables here, and I imagine they would kind of hold horses here, you know, for various reasons. If they need to ride out anywhere, you know, they need to ride to send a message, they need to like ride down the road to get something. And I imagine probably some of the soldiers, at least some of the soldiers stationed here, would be trained in like mounted combat, you know. So that's useful. They could probably, you know, leave a little bit of room also for other people, for like travelers, visitors, maybe like a high profile visitor to, you know, leave their horse in the stable so they don't have to like tie it to a tree somewhere. But yeah, and then on top we have this room here, which I'll show in a sec. But I really like how it brings it together. I've always like kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but that kind of just that look of like having a house attached to like part of a castle, you know, or just like this sort of like building attached to a part of a castle. And I have this chimney here, which the base of it goes really high up because really it's just the second floor where the fireplace is. But I actually kind of like it, and it's just another one of those things that kind of just adds depth, or, you know, dimension, character, whatever you want to call it. Obviously I did my normal like half timbering style with the sand in between, and I used fences for windows, so let's just go ahead and go in there. It's not like super decorated. It's pretty plain in this room, but I think it's kind of nice actually. It feels cozy. I've always liked the oak logs with the sand. It's just such like a nice cozy sort of like, I guess, rustic or just kind of homey feel to it. I like it. We got like a barrel here. And, you know, a little bit of stuff and some beds and a fireplace here, which doesn't look amazing. It's kind of just like flat up against the wall, so it doesn't look like incredible, but it's there. We have an infinite lit furnace here, so, you know, it looks kind of nice and cozy and inviting. Like I said, we do have fences for windows here for this build, just because I'm trying to make it a little more grounded. It's like, you know, they can't afford glass to have their windows here. So they just have these sort of like, I guess these are like supposed to be like wooden shutters or slats or whatever, you know. And they have some beds in here. So this is kind of like this, where it's like, it could be like a multi-purpose room. Like you could have extra soldiers sleeping in here. You could have visitors sleep in here. You could set it up so it's like, I don't know, maybe even like a big dining room in here. If you have like a high profile visitor, you know, and you want to set up a little banquet or something. I don't know. Wow, look at that sunset out of the arrow loop here. That's very nice. And yeah, so the keep itself is pretty much finished. I think I've shown you pretty much everything. And so I'm honestly really happy with it. It looks really cool. and I've been having fun, honestly, making this. I've been having a lot of fun making this and kind of thinking about it like realistically, or like in a sort of like lore friendly way, whatever. And now I'm kind of just gonna try to build, like, I don't know what to call it, like accessories, I guess, but not accessories, like little stuff like around here. So I did build the road. There's a little gravel path here. Gravel looks great. I love gravel roads. I use them most of the time. So yeah, you have a little gravel road kind of just softly going up to the keep, and a little bit around the stables, of course, where they get their horses. And then I think the main actual road is going to like go along here. I'm not going to build the whole thing right now. I'm not going to build a road between Lumbridge and Bastion right now, although I would like to eventually. But I'm just going to have like sort of a start of it. And yeah, so the main road will be here. And I'm thinking maybe like having some like wagons along the road. Maybe like some stuff like little market stalls. Just stuff to show that, you know, people are like, travelers are kind of like hanging out here, you know, because it's just like a safe spot. So they're spending the night here. They're taking a rest here. And even like, you know, because there's so many like travelers passing through here, and it is like a safe spot, you know, maybe some merchants have just like set up shop for a day or two, you know. So I really like that idea. I think it's pretty fun. So we're just gonna see what we come up with here. All right, so I went ahead and I built a portion of the main road here. Again, I'm not going to build the whole thing right now, but we do have a portion of it here. I thought that was important, so I could just sort of lay out some of these accessories. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. Adding a little more life around here. There's like a little cart here that this person stopped, and they've set up a little temporary merchant stall thingy. You know, just because this is such a busy road, and you know, a lot of people stop here and rest here at the keep. So, you know, might as well take advantage of that, set up a little a little merchant stall here, sell some wares. Someone else has a similar idea with a bit of a bigger stall. And maybe some of these merchants, you know, they stick around and actually start like living here more permanently. And over time, this could like potentially become like a sort of a little village or town, you know. But down here, we have some people who off the road, the road's not finished here, but off the road a bit, we do have some people here who have just stopped for the night. You know, they set up some tents and stuff, and they have a little campfire going to cook whatever food or just warm themselves. Which, you know, I imagine is or happens pretty frequently here. People just, you know, they stop here and they just camp here. Because, you know, not everyone, especially if they're lower class, sort of like peasants or whatever, not everyone maybe can get room at the keep, you know. There's limited room there, so I'm sure a lot of people just have to camp out, but it's still better camping here than just out in the middle of nowhere, you know. And we have a little signpost here which tells you Bastion is back that way, the castle town, and Lumbridge is back that way. And yeah, like I said, one day I do want to kind of complete this road. And I always imagined like it would be fun in a Minecraft world to make a big road system, and like every so often, like every length that's about equivalent to like a day's travel in Minecraft, like a day's walking in Minecraft, you could have a little stop like this, or like an inn, or like, you know, just a little rest stop, a little base, something like that. And we do have this pointing to the keep, the sign that says Prendergast Keep. I had some of my guild members on Patreon suggested a couple names, and I decided to go with Prendergast Keep. I think that sounds pretty cool. Apparently, I think it's like a Norman name or something. I'm not quite sure of the etymology, excuse me. But yeah, I thought that sounded pretty cool, so I decided to stick with that, and yeah, I am honestly really happy with this. Like I said, I just randomly got the inspiration to build this on a whim, so I just started making this. I actually had a different video planned for this week, but or at least a different video to start. but I just decided to do this all of a sudden. So I hope you enjoyed this. Another little world update. It's been a little while, but I hope you enjoy this little beta world thingy-majig. If you did enjoy this video, maybe check out my Patreon. I upload sneak peeks of upcoming videos on there, and I uploaded one for this, but it's also kind of an extended cut. I left in a lot of, I guess, like deleted scenes, if you will, where I'm just like yapping about kind of unrelated topics to the video, which, you know, normally I cut because, again, they're kind of less relevant. But if you do want to see me play more and talk about random crap, then, you know, that might be interesting to you. And of course, you get a bunch of other good stuff on there, and there'll be more stuff in the future. So yeah, feel free to check that out. It really helps me out, and I really, really appreciate it. And I also really, really appreciate Bubba Gorbo, Life's a Trip, and Jestazur for joining, for being my newest guild members on Patreon. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, have a great week, etc., etc. And yeah, I'll see you around.